All good things must come to an end, and today that is the case for the Mizuno Neo Zen. This is going to be my last run in the Neo Zen. This pair is approaching or exceeding 200 miles, I'm not entirely sure, but it's up there. And the last time I ran in this, it felt pretty fatigued after some time on feet, and so, I have a lot of shoes that I run in, and perhaps I would allow this to stay in my rotation for a bit longer because it's such a comfortable shoe if I didn't have other things to test. But I think that 200-ish miles is sufficient for me to get a very good understanding of the shoe, and I've loved it deeply throughout the time that I've owned it. It's led to some very philosophical, ponderous questions about the human condition in our Zen talks, as it were. And so today is time to close the chapter on the Mizuno Neo Zen so we could open a new chapter. So, let's go!
Guess who's back? Back again! Neo's back. Neo Zen.
Immediately out the gate with these, despite not having run in them for some time. They still feel very soft, but it feels effortful to run in them today. And I'm sure a component of that is the fact that I ran a 24-mile double day yesterday, but I'm just I'm sinking in and it's not really rebounding anymore. It used to feel like this with bounce. Now it just feels like I'm kind of sinking in immediately. There's still a little bit of bounce, but I'm sure by the end of the run, I'm not going to feel that way. I think a component of how this is sort of feeling a little worn out as a shoe is that the geometry seems to, for me, really promote a forefoot strike. So I'm noticing right now, if I try to bring it back to the heel a little bit, it's actually not quite as dead back there. But I don't really, especially in this shoe, tend to run on the heel that much. So despite being technically a warmer day, it is so much colder today. The little sprinkly rain, the wind whipping through the trees. It's really dark too. 'Tis the season. Merry depression months to everybody out there. Dude in a delivery truck, like a big semi-truck for local deliveries, just called me over to chat with him about running. And he's like, how do you get into running? And I gave him the whole spiel where you don't want to you don't want to overdo it at first. You don't want to try to run, 3 miles nonstop at your fastest pace, which is your only pace, and fail at that, then get discouraged. What you want to do is, the whole advice, all of you have heard before. But it was really cool to see somebody taking a genuine interest. I'm just out here running around, and for somebody to want to learn about running that much, where they ask a question, it gives me hope for humanity. The bounce still exists in these if you pick up the pace, which is kind of surprising to me. They feel really dead going daily paces, but I've been so cold from all the sleety, freezing, cold droplets of water. It's not quite sleet, but yeah, man, I'm zooming and I don't even want to be. just to stay warm. I got this quarter zip from a thrift store, and all I could think of is, ever since I can remember, I've been popping my collar. Because it has this big, obviously, floopy collar. We're gonna interfere with a goose meeting. See how this goes. Boys, you geese. Yeah, that's right. Flee for your lives. Round 2 with the geese. The longer I've been on the road, the more these feel flat, unfortunately. It happened so suddenly. It was like 1 or 2 runs ago that I noticed these start to go, and then they just went. They're such great shoes when they're new. So much fun, so bouncy for such a soft shoe too, and perfect for like a training foam. I think I'm pushing them really hard today. I'm going to throughout this I've been flirting with 7:30, despite I never run that quick in the Neo Zen really, but it's just so cold. I still haven't really warmed up either, so I've just been cranking away. What a day. 11 miles, 8:01 pace. In a word, miserable. I was so cold the entire time that it felt so effortful to run. And the shoes didn't help because they're dead, and I knew that going into this. I wanted to run further than this. I felt like I was pushing so much harder than I needed to today. I wanted to do a recovery run, and I picked out a shoe that was a more moderately paced shoe for me in the past, the Neo Zen. And little did I know that I was just going to be really, really cold today. And it's not even like that cold outside. I think it's like, I don't know, it might be a combination of this quarter zip plus my hands were really cold. My legs were fine. It's like an internal cold, you know, when you get like wet and you just can't shake the fact that you're cold. That's the type of cold that I felt throughout the run. Of course, I started to warm up sort of like 3/4 of the way through, but I'm still kind of chilly. And that was, I mean, my heart rate doesn't even reflect it. It says average 140, but I was just like, it felt so effortful the whole time. And maybe it is partially the shoes, but it was never supposed to be an effortful run, so it wouldn't have mattered if it wasn't so cold. End rant. I'm going to talk to you guys more about the shoes in a second. So with that, back to the studio. Okay, we're back in the studio with the Mizuno Neo Zen. Man, that was a bad run earlier today. I did not enjoy being that cold and running that quickly in a shoe that is this dead. So lifespan of the shoe, it ended up being 199.35 miles, which is pretty close to 200. I was actually intending to run 13 today, and I had to call it at 11. I was so cold, and I was also really close to my house, so I was just like, nah, we're not gonna do this. So I want to talk to you all about the shoe, how it performed today and over its lifespan, how it changed, what I liked about it, what I disliked about it. And I think I'm going to start with a brief overview of what the shoe is and what its purpose is. I don't remember the stats offhand. It's somewhere in the range of a slightly overstacked shoe, so like 41 to 42. It has a supercritical TPU midsole. It has a sort of knit one-piece style upper. The foam was really bouncy initially, and we'll come to that. The outsole is rubber through this part and this part, with a channel running through the center. There's not a lot to say about the Mizuno Neo Zen, statistically speaking. So this is how I've been using it. How they position it in their lineup is it's their fun daily trainer, right? There's no plate in here. The foam is really nice and bouncy and modern. It's a modern feeling daily training shoe. It's $150 going up against the Evo SL. The foam is really soft, and when it's new, it's also really bouncy. So it's a great trade-off as far as if you're looking for something that isn't the Evo SL, that's also fun and in the daily trainer space. That's sort of where this sits on the market. So things that, let's go upper first, things that I liked and disliked. Let's go likes first. There's really nothing wrong with the laces. Yeah, I don't like the upper very much. This type of like booty style construction just doesn't work for so many people, and it was okay for me. It wasn't like it destroyed the viability of the shoe. It's more like I wish it were just a normal upper with a tongue that was separate from the upper and it didn't rely on like tight lace tension across the top of the foot. Now, I've never gotten lace bite from this, although this component here, the tab, the like plastic tab right there, it isn't ideal. It's not, it caused discomfort, not pain, right? So that's how I would explain what they're doing to protect you from lace bite. Though it protects you from lace bite, it's still uncomfortable. So, you know, you can't win them all. The upper I don't love. The heel counter is floopy floppy, which is good for me. But that's really where the likes of the upper end. It's not, you know, it doesn't cause the shoe to fail in any way. What I did notice, though, functionally outrunning, is that it does have pretty severe tippy instability. And I've actually rolled my ankles twice in this, and I fell down in front of Run Club wearing this, which was very embarrassing. And at the time, it was like pretty much new, maybe like 25 or 30 miles on it, so it still had a very uncompressed stack of foam that was tall, and I was scrambling to get not hit by a car crossing a red light. So it was definitely my fault, but yeah, I tripped in this. I've actually rolled my ankles twice besides that in this, so there's a little bit of instability of the tippy variety, which I actually kind of prefer a tippy instability because it comes down to user error at that point. Like if you're making mistakes like I've made in this, I don't, you know, it's not good that a shoe could be possessed of that quality, but it's also like kind of just my fault in the end. So the midsole, when I got it, it was actually a joy to run in. It is very, very soft, like buttery soft. And also will rebound in like a pretty pneumatic and linear way. It's like it presses in and it presses you out. It presses in and it presses you out. But since it's so soft, obviously it was never like a top end speed type of shoe. It wouldn't be, but it is surprisingly capable of going fast. Like for a lot of the miles today, I was sitting at around 7:30 pace. Besides the very first couple of miles when I was getting camera shots, that's how I was using the shoe today. Now for the run today, it was kind of unpleasant because it felt very effortful to go that pace with the shoe because it's really not supposed to be going at the upper end of your pace range, which, I mean, that's not the upper end of my pace range, but that's sort of where the race paces start for me. So like marathon-ish pace for me, we'll see. I mean, hopefully, right? But yeah, today, especially given the condition that I'm finding the foam to be in, it was not what I wanted. I didn't want to be running quickly, so it's really not the shoe's fault. Like I intended to run slowly in this today, which would have been much more comfortable in this shoe in its state of like decline, except for the fact that it was so cold. So, and also it's much more compressed in the forefoot for me because that's where I land. I'm surprised at how well the outsole is holding up. It's not exactly like clear the tread on this, how it's wearing. Like I see somewhere on this side where the rubber's wearing through and the grooves are becoming smoother, but it's not, you know, so obvious or glaring. Like there is more mileage to be had in this shoe in the long run. I don't think for me that I intend to run in it past today because there are other things I need to test. It didn't feel great today. It felt like it's pretty dead, right? And even when it's dead, it's still more comfortable than other shoes. I might pull the laces out of this and turn this into a complete walking shoe, like fully no laces, slip-on style. Just super comfortable shoe to tool around in, maybe a yard work shoe. The upper, obviously, as you can see, is already completely gray, so there's no stylistic worries of getting dirt on my completely dirty shoe. I've really loved this as a companion daily trainer, like sort of recovery run shoe that is capable of going all the way from recovery to like maybe capping out a half marathon pace if you wanted to do that for a short period of time and when it's new. So I think this is still a good value at 150 bucks. It doesn't quite soar as high as the Evo SL does at the same price, but it also doesn't stoop as low, right? So the Evo SL I've been very critical of over the course of my ownership of it, and for good reason. There's just some problems with it that could have really easily been implemented. Solutions to those problems could have been implemented on the first try, like the laces. This, I think that they really wanted this booty style upper to work, and that's the real downfall of the shoe is the upper. I think that I could, if I really wanted to, if I only owned this shoe, or if I owned this shoe in a 2-shoe rotation, and I wanted to squeeze like 300 miles out of it, it'd probably be fine. The grip was actually surprisingly fine today. The foam wasn't as dead as some people wear their foam down to, right? But as a person that's spoiled for choice in the running shoe market, it's dead for me. And I know that that comes across as like privilege, but I am buying all of these shoes with my own money, and I've spent good money on other shoes that I'd rather be running in, so I don't want to be testing this anymore. Like, I feel like, yeah, it's run its course for me. I've loved it while I've had it. It's the sun is setting on the chapter of the Neo Zen for me. Would I recommend this for people? Yeah, totally. I think it's honestly a better shoe on balance than the Evo SL. And yeah, it doesn't soar quite as high, but if you're coming from something like a Brooks Ghost or whatever, I don't know what, I'm mostly in tune with the hype shoes. I'm not exactly as plugged into the legacy daily trainers because I haven't been around in this space for very long, but something like a, you know, like if you're coming from a Kinvara and you want something that's still moderate drop, granted this is a 6 mil drop, but it feels like the way that I land on this, it does not feel like a 6 mil drop. I would say even like 4 or 5. To be completely honest, like it allows you to be forefoot dominant, even if it does have a higher heel to begin with. If you're a heel striker, you're gonna stomp that heel into the ground pretty quickly, and then it'll become a flatter shoe. And if you're a forefoot striker, it might compress the forefoot a bit more and become a higher drop over time, because it's clear to me that this shoe does not have a decent compression set resistance. It does have a pretty good fatigue resistance. This didn't feel all that different from the beginning of the run today to the end of the run. And granted, it was only 11 miles, so it could be, you know, maybe around 12 or 13, it would start to show some fatigue. But today it was pretty good. So yeah, I would recommend this shoe. It's just time to part ways and onto greener pastures for me, and onto, I should start building out a retirement wall for shoes. That's the next to do on the to-do list for me. Is have a retirement wall, and maybe I'll revisit all of my retired shoes. So far, I'm in possession, well, some of them have turned into yard shoes. So I have the Kinvara 15, I have the Hoka Cielo X1, and I would still run in that thing. It's just that the tread is completely gone, and it's slippery season, right? There's the Adios Pro 3, which is not runnable at all, that I wore into the absolute ground. And now the Mizuno Neo Zen joins that rank, and the Adios 9 is also semi-retired. I can't promise that I won't run in that again because I really love that shoe, but it has holes in it, so So yeah, this joins the rank of some fallen soldiers that have served me well over time. I don't get shoes up to this mileage if I don't like them. So obviously it did something right. I think it did a better job than the Evo SL at being an all-arounder and a more comfortable shoe with fewer flaws. So thank you all very much for your attention, and stay in motion.